Hi, welcome to my first video in my Pokémon Yellow challenge series. Instead of a Pikachu, we'll be starting with only a Magikarp for our solo run today. Can this fish conquer the challenge and complete the game successfully? Or will it flounder? Let's get to it! I've always loved Pokemon games, but let's be honest, they're pretty easy. So I started doing challenges where I would replace a starter with different Pokemon and try to speedrun the game. In this case, I wanted to take Magikarp and make a really challenging run and just see if I could even complete it. Obviously, this first battle against a rival is going to go terribly because I only have Splash, so there's literally no way I can win this fight. As you can see, I just flop and then faint. I have to prep though in order to train before I fight Brock, because fighting Brock with just Splash obviously not going to work either. So I need to get trained up, get at least Tackle, and see where that puts me. In order to train, I need to use up all of my Splash PP, and I can't do that unless I use it against a Metapod, or I use like 1 or 2 against each Pokemon and faint. I'm going to find a Metapod and use all the uses of Splash, and then we're going to get all the way down where we can use Struggle, because that's the only way that we can deal damage with Magikarp at this stage. So I wanted to include the footage for this, just to show how long it takes to get Magikarp all the way down to use Struggle. It takes about 40 seconds just to get him to the point that he can do damage. And at this point I realized that it's going to be a long training session. So let's do a speed cut. Once I reach level 8, I'm going to try to get past the last trainer at the end. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm out of potions, so I need to be able to use the Pokémon Center. If I have to keep going back to the Viridian Pokémon Center, it's going to take me a lot longer in walking just to be able to get my training done. Obviously that goes poorly. Let's try it one more time just to see if we can get past him. I really was hoping that level 8 would be just enough to beat a level 10 Caterpie. But Struggle is just too weak. So I went and trained, we came back, we can try him again. I have one more level to give me more HP, and I just wanted to get past him as soon as I could. Luckily this time, luck was on my side, an extra crit helped quite a bit to get me through this with a little extra HP to spare. Now I can finally use the new Pokemon Center that I have access to and walk a lot less. I train up until I can get to level 13 and be able to more consistently knock out Pokemon. Now try the trainers to get more experience more quickly rather than wild Pokemon. This, however, goes badly as well. After another try, it goes much better, and we can finally move on with our training. And now it's finally time for Brock. At level 19, right before we evolve, to see where we're at. See if we really need to evolve, or if Magikarp can somehow get past both of these Rock-type Pokemon with only Tackle at level 19. And unfortunately, right off the bat, it's not looking good. Geodude does about the same damage to me that I do to him. I get past him though, get to the Onix, a couple of bad plays here, but I get taken down, not even close. So what we need is an evolution. Now, At some point, Magikarp has to evolve to get through this game, because unfortunately, it's actually impossible to complete with a Magikarp as it stands, because I can't beat Ghost-type Pokemon with just a Magikarp. So, I feel like this evolution is required now to get past Brock. Unless I was to train up to level 30 or 40, then maybe? But since I have to evolve anyway, let's go ahead and start the real part of the run now. And this makes a huge difference, because I get through the Onix and the Geodude much more quickly, only taking 2 more hit points of damage. And then we can get on to Team Rocket, which is so easy, but it's nice to see them make a cameo here. Now we can move on to some gym battles. Misty's gym has a required trainer here. This Goldeen should be a piece of cake. Obviously it is. And we can fight Misty. I'm fighting Misty before I do any of the other areas in the city, because I want access to Bubble Beam. It's going to be a huge upgrade to Gyarados' moveset. There's a little bit of a slowdown there, but we get through it no problem. We can finally get Bubble Beam added to our set. I have to decide whether I want Bide or Tackle as a backup move. Bide really isn't that useful anymore since we're just smashing through all of the opponents at this point. Bubble Beam is great here in the rival battle as well, because it's good for the Sandshrew, and honestly could be used against the Rattata and the Spearow as well. Eevee actually is pretty strong against special moves, so I switched back to Bite for that one. After Nugget Bridge and the rest of Cerulean, we can move on to our Rocket over here on the way to Vermilion City. He's sometimes tricky with the Hypnosis on the Drowsy, but no problem today. Now, when we get to the SSN, we want to pick up a few things, specifically the Rest TM, a couple of items, and prepare for the next rival fight. But this one, now that we have Body Slam, it's actually going to be a really easy fight as well. Body Slam is an incredible move in Generation 1. One of the best moves in the game, actually standard on a lot of movesets for speedrunning. After the SSN, we can go fight Surge. Now this is extremely risky, because if he uses Thunderbolt, it'll take me out no matter what. But Surge is actually really bad in this game and does not have good AI to know what to do, so he just punches a couple of times and goes down. Now, Thunderbolt is an excellent addition to Gyarados' moveset. Strange that he can learn it because it's also like the biggest weakness, but it's actually going to be really useful against Lance's Gyarados as well as other water-type Pokemon like Cloyster. After I get Ice Beam, I can go ahead and move on to the Celadon Gym and fight Erica. Ice Beam makes this very easy, as well as Body Slam is excellent for other Pokemon with weak defense, like this Weepin' Bell. Now the grass types do actually do decent damage, and I'm paralyzed, so this actually does get really close here. Did not expect that, but just barely made it through, which is awesome. When we get to Sylph, we can fight the rival. He has a strong team here. This is actually a very problematic team. Thundershock does a ton of damage. Ninetales is easy. Fire types can't really do a whole lot in this generation. Their move sets are pretty bad. Jabra's an easy one-hit. Vaporeon is pretty bulky, but can't do a lot of damage, so I'm not really worried about it. Body Slam and Thunderbolt do pretty equal damage as well to it, so I have two options. After Sylph, I can go to Koga. He really can't do anything to take me down. He will probably use a lot of Sleep Powder, but that's not really a problem for Gyarados. A couple of hits here and there won't actually do any real damage to Gyarados. At this point, 2 hours into the run, a lot of Pokemon are already done with this entire game within about an hour to an hour and a half at most. So the unfortunate start with Magikarp really slowed me down here. And now we'll go to Blaine's gym, and we will train up on some of the burglars and super nerds and other trainers here in this gym. All the fire types make for some quick work. We need to get a lot of experience for Gyarados because he is a slow growth rate Pokemon, meaning that he takes more experience to level up than any other type of growth rate. Now for Blaine, he's actually not that big of a threat, but they do have actually some good normal type moves as well mixed into this team here. There's Takedown on the Rapidash and on the Arcanine, as well as Reflect that could cause some issues for Gyarados with its high attack stat. However, since I got hit by Growl, I'm just using Bubble Beam and it's pretty easy. Sabrina's next, and really should be just a breeze. I'll outspeed the first two Pokemon and hit with Body Slam, which should one-hit. The Alakazam, though, is going to get a hit in. However, Sabrina's not great with her lack of good AI, and it makes it quite easy. Giovanni is also going to be easy, but the one problem that could present in his team is that both of his Nidos have Thunder, and that's going to do massive damage against Gyarados. I don't quite one-hit either, which is really scary. The Guard Spec is really something I can count on, except I do get hit by Thunder from the Nidoking, which I thought was going to KO. Actually doesn't, though, and it's quite an easy cleanup after that. From Giovanni's gym, we can go ahead and head over to fight the last rival fight here before the league. And now that we're level 51, Gyarados is already ready to go. Makes quick work of this team. I luckily get a crit on the Magneton. The Magneton is definitely the scariest at this point. Later on, I'm saving the Mimic TM to be able to steal Earthquake from the Sand Slash in order to one-hit that Magneton at the end on the Champions team. Vaporeon puts up a little bit of trouble there, but we get it done. I almost learned Hyper Beam here. Hyper Beam is such a strong move, and with Gyarados having such a high attack stat, it could be useful. But I don't want to give up Body Slam or Thunderbolt yet. Ice Beam is essential for the league, and I go ahead and switch Bubble Beam for Mimic anyway. And then as we head into Lorelei, I can just get through the first few here with Thunderbolt quite easily. Cloyster especially has pretty low special. It takes a lot of damage from Thunderbolt. Didn't quite get the one hit though. Then I can steal Amnesia. This is a really easy trick that I learned from Scott's Thoughts. It makes this really a good, solid run as we finish off this team here. Makes it very difficult for Gyarados to take much damage from the last two Pokemon. One big threat in Lorelei's team for any Pokemon is the fact that they have Blizzard and Ice Punch, which can freeze. If you get frozen by any of these moves, you're just done. You have to reset. There's no way to unfreeze in Generation 1, and that unfortunately is really scary for some Pokemon. Bruno, however, is so easy. All his Pokemon are weak to special moves. Onix is just terrible. Machamp could be scary, but for some reason they didn't give him good AI, unlike some of the other league members, so he just doesn't really know what to do. He does still some decent damage against Gyarados though. Again, using Mimic here for Substitute. Substitute makes this way more consistent because they can't use Confusion Tactics and that kind of thing. The AI also doesn't really know how to play around Substitute, which is really nice. I then, because I don't have access to Earthquake, I just have to use Thunderbolt and Ice Beam to get through the rest of this team. I don't know if it's just me, but for some reason, whenever I look at Gyarados, I feel like it should be able to learn things like Earthquake. I always forget it's a flying type, which feels very weird on the moveset because it misses out on a lot of the most powerful moves because of this typing. Alright, that's Agatha, and then we can move on to Lance. Lance is going to be very easy with Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. Really, with these two moves, you don't really need to worry about him. Everything in his team is weak to Ice except the Gyarados at the beginning, which if you have Thunderbolt is just extremely easy. Dragonite even takes 4 times damage from Ice Beam. Okay, and then the champ, we gotta steal that Earthquake because that's gonna be really important for the Magneton. Then Ice Beam is great for Sandslash. Alakazam is an easy hit from Earthquake. Now Executor can be tricky, and this is where Rest can be really useful. A crit just makes quick work of the Executor though, and we can move on to Ninetales. And then after Ninetales, Magneton with Earthquake. And then Vaporeon is last. Can't really do any damage, we just have to get through all of that HP. And then we've done it. And Gyarados has finished the game, 2 hours and 25 minutes, 25 seconds. Thanks for watching to the end. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment of any challenges you'd like to see, and there will be more videos to come.